Okay, I am back again. Different person, different time. So I got my lovely friend Elizabeth coming on. So I'm going to wait for her to pop on. Oh, there she is. Ah. What's up, Dave? Good to see you. So I'm going to see how technology performs. There's been some challenges with a couple things today, so I'm going to wait to see if Elizabeth is able to bring herself on. I had requested for her to join. It says adding, so just going to wait for some people to jump on. If you guys say hi, where you're coming from. There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. You might need to turn your volume up just a little bit.
All right, let's try this out.
Also, if you have headphones, see if you can put them in so getting a little bit of feedback.
All right, let's try this.
See if that helps. How's that? Can you hear me?
All right, how's that?
Oh, that's perfect.
That better? All right.
All right. Okay, so we got some people jumping on, and I know that when we spoke about this last week, it was all through Messenger, but I could tell that you were. It was definitely pushing you into an uncomfortable zone doing this, but I always feel it's really good to get people on here, not to stuff for ego or to brag, but it's there's so much posting and pictures going on that it's really nice to just see human beings talking, and that's why I love doing these little interviews and these little chats because people hear enough of me all day long and they hear what I'm doing, but I like people to obviously talk about what they're doing, and you gave such a great bio on yourself, and I even just from reading your bio I learned a lot about you that I didn't know even the time that we spent together. So for those that don't know you that are coming through my network, and I know you have some of your network coming on here, just give a little brief introduction of yourself, um, you know prior to starting network marketing, just a little bit about growing up and just early life, and where you are now, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, Scott, I want to thank you for inviting me on. Your content is of such value, so I'm certain that anybody on would agree that they have no problem hearing you speak. So thank you for inviting me on and allowing me to share my story, and really putting myself in a vulnerable place, because I think that that's where true network marketing, the way it's meant to be built, needs to start. So
Yeah.
here we go, head first.
At first.
So my name is Elizabeth Sousa. I live in Connecticut. I am happily married, mom of two, to a 20-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl. And I've got to tell you, first and foremost, the greatest part of my story is being a mom. They will forever be my greatest and most cherished success. I want to start with that. My background is I am a registered nurse, and I'm very goal driven. And so when I was in college, I knew that I wanted to be in the fast pace. I wanted to work my way up to administration, and that's exactly the path that I put myself on. And I worked my way up, assistant director of nursing in one facility. I moved over to another one, quickly became the assistant manager there, a clinical leader. So I was really on that path to where I wanted to go. I had my son. I was pregnant with my daughter, and I got this sinking feeling. And I remember talking to all the moms that were nurses in the hospital, and I'd say, "Did you ever regret it coming back to work? Do you ever feel like you're missing out?" And I think what I was trying to do was to convince myself of something different than what I was feeling and knew, and that was that personally, for me, I needed to be home raising my family. So whatever
Yeah.
success I was seeing on a career perspective was going to be a failure for me because my success resided in my children. And so after my daughter was born, one dinner I sat at the table across from my husband, and out of nowhere I said to him, I'm not going back. And I remember he looked at me with these big wide eyes like, what? Come again? Because the reality was we couldn't afford it. We could not afford in any way, shape, or form for me not to work. Two incomes were certainly going to bring in a lot more than one would. And we were both raised by parents that worked. And so that was a hard decision. But something, he saw something in my eyes that he didn't even question it. And he said, okay, let's do what we need to do. And so that's exactly what we did. We went to work, we worked hard, and we built a plumbing contracting business from the ground up. I became the office end of the business. He became the technical side, and we created great success in that. And as part of that growth, because again, we were goal driven and we knew what we wanted for our family life. And like all parents, you want to offer more to your children than even what you had. And we both had some great upbringings. We really did. Zero complaints. But we wanted more, right? And so we got involved in real estate investing. We bought some rental properties, and then we started a business in Puerto Rico, a vacation rental business. So we succeeded in creating what we needed to live a comfortable life, to be able to travel and enjoy our children. And I think for me, most importantly, being present for every single moment of their lives, which, gosh, I wouldn't change that for the world. Yeah. So that.
No, it's so important because I think everyone has their own vision of what the ideal life
Yeah.
looks like. And again, I didn't have a bad upbringing at all. And with my son being 6 now, I want him to experience as much as I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
because there's things that if you put into practice, and they always say practice makes practice, you can achieve anything you put
Yeah.
your mind to. But it was interesting reading your bio. You had a successful RN career. Your husband had a successful career. You had a successful entrepreneurial, brick and mortar business, and you had the vacation home rentals. But I don't want to say that it wasn't enough, but you saw what most goal driven person sees, which is the more income streams that I can create,
Mm-hmm.
the more impact I can have in whatever way it is, the more money I can create, the better life I can provide for myself and my family. So what was it about network marketing, almost 7-8 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, about 7 years, 6-7 years ago,
Yeah.
that what was it about network marketing where, like, what? Well, I'm not going back to nursing. We have our plumbing business, we have the vacation rentals, but, and I'm also, I think the other interesting thing is that you got into health and wellness on a physical and personal
Yep.
side at 38. And, you and I are both former competitors. And, I started very young. I was 18 when I got into the game. But talk about that too, because if people didn't know you the way that everyone knows you, the way that I do, and they saw what you looked like physically, they would have been like, you got 2 kids and they're 20 and 16, like, you got to be crazy. So talk about 2011, 2012, when you started to have this inclination, I need to do something else, and what the journey of network marketing took you through. First, a personal side leading to the wellness and the competing. And then I want to get into how we met and how we started doing some things on the business end of the
Right.
side, and how everything kind of has all fallen into place.
Yeah. So, something, one of the things that I committed to and that you asked of me, and I said, absolutely, and this is why I chose you, is that it needs to be real. It needs to be authentic. And so that's what the place that I'm going to come from with anything, with the questions you're asking me. When I first started in network marketing, there was zero interest in the business. Zero. In my mind, I had an employee mindset, even though I was self-employed, which was, as long as you are doing the do and earning an income, you're good, right? And then 2008 hit, and we saw the economy crash, And we were lucky to keep our doors open. We were blessed that we had the type of integrity and morality in our business that kept the doors open. But overnight, it was like a memo went out and people stopped paying. Right? So for the first time in our business, we were like, wait a second, we can't collect on money that we worked on. I mean, we saw friends that had businesses for 20 plus years shut their doors. And that was terrifying. So that was the first taste of, wow, from one moment to the next, anything can be taken away from you. You have to value life, you have to value the job. And I went back and shortly thereafter, and I considered going back to nursing. And I thought to myself, do after I've been home and I haven't missed out on anything in these kids' lives, do I go back to working holidays and weekends? And that was not okay. And do I get back involved in the politics? Do I ask permission to go to my children's games when I've been the room mom all this time? No, that was just non-negotiable for me. So what do we do, right? So I started looking, and all of this stress, and particularly as moms, we take it all on our shoulders, really started to work on my health. And so really that was my first attraction to network marketing, was I wasn't feeling great. And I needed to feel better. And, I went as far as going to the doctor. There's something wrong with me. I'm having memory loss, memory fog. My energy is not right. I mean, I felt like I was 50 at the age of 35. And I said to myself, well, what happens when you're 50, right? That scared me. And I looked at my kids and I said, what example am I setting for them? And that was not okay. And so I went in pursuit of answers. And I found Isagenix, or more so, Isagenix found me. And within 2 weeks, I felt a dramatic difference, right? But I am a nurse. And I knew better, and this wasn't what we learned in nursing school, so this couldn't be right? And so I went in pursuit of the science, still saying I wanted nothing to do with the business. And so off I flew to Arizona, because and if I'm going to put my name to something, whether I'm in the hospital or not, you can trust that I believe in it wholeheartedly. And so I went in pursuit of that belief, and I found it. I was floored. But what I received there was a vision that I didn't know was even possible, right? I saw people, okay, for one, people were happy. What's going on here? Why are there so many happy people in one room? That was unusual to me, because, you go through social media, it's a lot of negativity, a lot of our circles, negativity. And I saw a lot of positivity. I saw a lot of healthy, really vibrant people of all ages, from all backgrounds. And I saw a vision that was so much greater than a job. It wasn't about a job. It wasn't about money. It was about making an impact in the world. And that I really got excited about. So that was my first, really my first touch of network marketing. And so, I felt like I had gotten the comfort in being able to talk about these products that had done some amazing things in my own body. And now I thought, well, maybe I could do that for somebody else. But again, still no interest in the business. So initially, because again, I was still stuck in this old mindset of, this is not what my parents did. We didn't learn this in college, right?
Right.
And the truth of the matter was, it wasn't natural to me. Right? I'm not a shy woman. I'm very social. But the fact that I didn't feel like, there's these, I didn't want to sell to my friends. I didn't want them to think I was trying to make money off of them, which was absolute absurdity, because I have to tell you that since then, people that I held off talking to because I didn't want them to think I was selling them some, I changed their lives. And they came back to me afterwards and they said, what took you so long to tell me about this? And that, I'll tell you, I felt like a real idiot. And so I stopped being that more afraid to talk about it. And, given the opportunity, I did speak about it. And slowly but surely, I started getting these payments, every week. And before I knew it, I was making enough income, still doing this on a very, very part-time basis, that was paying for my products. So I was ingesting the best nutrition in the world. I was giving it to my family, and it didn't cost a penny. And I'm saying to myself, who can't get excited about that, right? My grocery bill went down, so I was saving on in other areas. I saw my husband not skipping meals anymore. Like, that was important to me. So that's really how it began. And whatever we do in life, there needs to be a strong enough why. My husband and I found a way for me to stay home. And we built a very, very successful business because our why was rock solid. And I'll tell you, network marketing attracts so many women because women have this understanding of this maternal sense. All right, this you can't describe it. It's deep, it's profound, but when you can plug into it, get out of the way because Mama Bear is going to attack, right? We know that. And so when you can find that same level of why in other areas in your life, wow, you're going to succeed. And that's what I found with my fitness, right? I wanted to be an example to my children. You know, there were older members in the family that were starting to get diagnosed with osteoporosis and heart disease and diabetes. And I thought, I don't want to be a statistic. So for me, fitness began purely as a preventative, like that will not be my story. I won't let that be my children's story because I'm going to show them how. And I don't think I shared this with you. So I knew nothing about the gym. Okay, I'm not even sure I knew how to turn on the treadmill at the time. I mean, I was always fit, but I was always active. But you know, as far as like the gym rat that I am today, no, that was not me. And so I approached, I've always been very coachable. And so I went to a personal trainer at the gym and I said, hey, I had a magazine in hand and it was, it wasn't a Victoria's Secret model. It was this, athletic build. And I said, can you show me what I need to do? I took full accountability in order to work towards this. And he looked at me and he laughed and he goes, sweetheart, you need to understand that genetically we don't all have that. And I was so deflated, so embarrassed and humiliated. Wow. Yeah. And I turned around and I thought a few not very pleasant things in my mind that I won't share live. But the reality was I turned around and I said, oh yeah, I'm going to show you. Okay. And I didn't know what that looked like, but there you go. That why was strong enough. And it wasn't about proving him wrong. It was more so that, something, I've never in my entire life felt comfortable in a bikini, right? Not even as a teenager. Why? Because I never knew how to do what I needed to do to attain that. It was that simple. And so now I had found this system and I found these amazing people and I was making some money so I could afford to eat the best nutrition on earth, which was saving me money. And, I was introduced to something I knew nothing about. I had never even seen a fitness show on TV. And it wasn't about a bikini. It was about mental fortitude. Like nobody's going to tell me I can't do this for my kids. Right? And I'll tell you the most empowering moment of my life was when I took stage and I had this outfit with wings and it was really dramatic, right? And the air happened to catch the wings and they sort of, up in the air. And my husband and my children and my mom was there and my sister, and they jumped to their feet. The entire audience did. And I still get choked up by it because I looked straight at my daughter and I said to her, sweetheart, pay attention because if mom can do this at 38, there's nothing you can't do.
Oh, I love that.
And so it was the pictures are fun and that's all exciting, but it was that mental fortitude, right? That I brought in. And so I continued. I loved on Isogenics because it brought fitness and health into my life. I was the healthiest I'd ever been. My children were watching. My son got into fitness, was asking me to come to the gym with me. He still goes to the gym every day. It's a priority in his life. So I was so grateful. And then there was this self-development piece, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we all have stories. And if you say you don't have a story, you're a liar. We all have stories, right?
Right.
So I had stories, and those stories, quite frankly, were what were keeping me from sharing these amazing, amazing nutritious products with people that needed them, that were praying for them, and that I was too stuck in myself and my own ego, like edging God out, I once heard somebody say. I was too stuck in that to tell them about it. And so I needed to work on myself. And I'll tell you, in developing myself, I became a more empowering mom. And I remember saying to, in sharing with my sisters and my mom, I said, something, this generational BS that we all have that, repeats generation after generation, the buck ends with me. My daughter will be better. And it's not that I had it bad. No, I had, like as I said, I had a great upbringing, but we always want better for our children, and that doesn't always involve money. And so initially, for me, network marketing brought a ton of self-development, the company we're partnered with, wow, like they understand. You want to grow a business, grow your people. And that's what we did. So I became a stronger human being and a more powerful woman. And that made me a better mom, right? And a more empowering mom. And I became healthier, and my children became healthier. My family, we eat completely different now. Not because we're eating just our products. No, we're foodies. I'm European. We like food.
Of course.
We eat, but we know how to eat it, right? And a year and a half ago, my son went to college. Now, we had been planning for this since he was a baby. And you think you got it figured. I've got a good job. I've been putting money aside in a college fund. And then you go on these college visits, and your son gets into a top private school, and it only costs $70,000 a year. Right?
Only 70 grand a year.
And I'll tell you, when he was born, we went to a financial planning seminar, and they had predicted $90,000 a year. When I went to college, It was 12. And I remember thinking, no way. So I'll tell you, for any young moms that are out there, it's going to be, I mean, think about it, from 12,000 back, 8 to 12,000 back then to 70,000, right? So as much as you think you can prepare for college, you can't. Okay.
Nope.
And so here we were, okay, we had established this great lifestyle. We've traveled the world. Our children have been to more countries than many adults have in their entire life. And we're so proud of that. And I so want to continue that. We still have these visions for so many more places we don't want to travel. But here we were a year and a half ago with, okay, $70,000 tuition bill. And here's the thing, I had a very emotional connection. My parents are first generation immigrants from Portugal. They came from very, very, very little. And they came to this country for a better life. They started their family here, and they worked their tails off, and they put 3 girls through college. We started our lives without college debt. So you better believe I have a very, very, very strong emotional connection to that. If my parents could do that for me, I'm doing it for my kids, right?
Absolutely.
But it's $70,000 a year. Wow. Like, you got to start thinking twice about that. Can I do that? Right. And fear starts coming in. And then you start hearing 5-year MBA programs. And then now your second child is talking about wanting to become a doctor. You're like, woo!
Yeah.
The number.
Pile it on.
And I'll tell you, my why was born. Wasn't born 7 years ago. Because 7 years ago, I wasn't in a place. There's the right timing for everybody. Right. 7 years ago, that timing wasn't right. Why? Because I was comfortable. It wasn't real yet. It wasn't until my life and my vision for what I wanted for my family became real. And I became to realize that, no matter how comfortable a life you have, no matter how successful your businesses are, you're going to feel, it's going to affect your life in some way. Right? Yeah. You're going to change how you're able to do things. Maybe you can't take as many vacations. And I had another aha moment, which was, that's us. That's what we do. We travel the world, and we're going to continue to travel the world. And I saw friends, normal, regular people with zero network marketing background, who were as uncomfortable as I was, but captured that vision 7 years ago, had that strong enough why to free their family, who are now making into the multiple 6- and 7-figure incomes. Now, is it everybody? No. Can everybody do it? No. Is it network marketing? 100%. All right. Yeah. So it annoys me when I hear these get rich quick schemes. Oh, it's one of those things. No, it's not one of those things. You know what this is? It's work. Right. But what I love about it is that this job that I can run from home in my pajamas, I was doing it in the car earlier when I was waiting for my daughter who was doing something. Right. This job, I'm my own boss. I get to go to work when I want to go to work. I can take off when I need to take off. I had rotator cuff surgery 2 years ago. I couldn't work it. I was in so much pain. I still got paid every single week on something that was a hobby, Scott. A hobby was continued to pay me every single week, right? And that, you got to pay attention to that, right? People, no matter what happens in the economy, people still eat. When I can tell people that I can feed them a meal for $2.85, you can't do that at McDonald's for garbage, right? I remember meeting a mom who says who's building the business, who says, something, I get pissed off when people say they can't afford it, because she was recently divorced, went through a really bad breakup, and she said that was the only thing I could afford. It's what kept us alive, right? So life is about perspective. It's really what I've learned. So anyhow, I realized, okay, guess what? I need to get rid of all these internal stories. I've gotten rid of a lot of them, but still a work in progress, right? And I need to figure out how I've got my why. And I told my family, I actually pulled them to the side and I said, all right, guys, it's going to get real. And there's going to be a lot of wall kicking moments, and there's going to be tons of times I'm going to want to quit, because I have wanted to quit many, many times. But I saw something in this business model that I'm telling you is the business of the future. I see our children getting involved in these businesses because you get paid what your effort is. Okay? You can work I could have worked super hard at the hospital. My pay scale would have been capped at some point, no matter how high on that ladder I climbed. Within a business, our ability to build our business is contingent on the fact that people need plumbing work, that people will vacation to our home. Oh, and by the way, we never anticipated Hurricane Maria that hit Puerto Rico and brought our vacation rental business to a complete screeching halt. How do you anticipate those things? Right? You can't. And so you have to have those multiple streams of income, those eggs in the basket, right? That you can go to when you require. And residual income, if you've never had experienced it, you need to get on that boat, all right? Because that is where it's at, where you keep getting paid. It's putting in the effort in the beginning to see the gains later on. And I think this is why people fail in network marketing. I think that's why it's got such a bad reputation, is because people are looking for quick fixes. I spoke to 3 people. Why am I not rich yet? Really?
Right. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And, you know, we're coming up at the top of the hour now, and I want you just to clarify quickly before we're done. You know, this is something that you and I spoke about a few weeks ago, and you said that you've never felt more strongly, not so much of the products and the model. You were strong about that, but you had never felt so strong about the business. And you had seen one of my Facebook Lives, and I was talking about LinkedIn, and we were talking back and forth, and we had a couple conversations, and finally you said, you know what, if I'm going to do this as a business, I have to use a platform that supports that, not leaving Facebook and Instagram, continuing to use them for what they're good for. But what was it about LinkedIn that I showed you, and now what you're experiencing, even though you've just begun with it, having more calls and having appointments, what has it done to influence and enhance your why where it is right now?
You know, Scott, you presented it in such an easy way. I'm a direction follower, and you gave me step-by-step directions, and I love that, right? You simplified the process, and you made it very strategic, okay? No opinions, let go of ego, okay, which I needed to let go of. And what's happened now is, you know, I've changed my vibrational energy. You assisted me in doing that. And so the vibration that I'm bringing into the business world of LinkedIn is one of business. And so the conversation begins with business. It goes to vision. It talks about the greatness of improving your health and that of others while you're doing it, while you're building your greater dream. And you know something? People are open to it. I had a 15-minute call earlier. I'd love the information. Send it to me right away. That's the change in the conversation.
And it's that easy. So before we wrap up, I mean, this is probably one of the best interviews I've ever had the pleasure of doing.
Thank you.
Because you're just a natural leader. When I don't have to do much of the talking, and I can just sit back and
I'm a talker, is what it is.
No, but it's such a passionate story. So before we leave tonight, what would be for the people that are on here that are in Isogenics, in network marketing, that may have a LinkedIn profile, but they're not using it, and they're kind of frustrated and they're just bored of what everything is going on? What is the number one reason why you would tell them to start using LinkedIn?
The nugget is this, especially this is what applied to me. When we get caught in our old stories, and we return to speaking to the people and put us back in the circles and environments that created those stories, you quickly fall back into it, okay? LinkedIn, you approach with a very professional, in a very professional way. you can finally start to believe in the person that you know you are and not the old stories. And the people that are on LinkedIn are, like you said, are looking for business. So when you can create very strategic rules of engagement. I'm not looking to twist anybody's arm. I'm here to provide information to those open to receiving it. It's that simple. You're not open to receiving it. Thank you so very much for your time. Done. And here's what's great. I get to get off the message and not think twice about what this person from high school or family member thinks of me. These are
Right.
these are strangers looking to do business. And that's what I'm
Exactly.
looking to do. And it's that
Exactly.
simple.
It's up leveling everything, and
Finding like minds.
yeah, no, and that's what it's all about. And I just want to say, just thank you. And I know there's so many people on here that are going to probably leave their comments, but um, you are truly an aspiring person. You've actually inspired me to continue to be the best parent that I can be for my son. And I know how grateful that your husband and your kids are for you, because um, to make a good man, to make good kids, it starts with the mother. And
Thank
you
you.
should be very, very proud of yourself for not only what you've accomplished so far, it's what you haven't accomplished yet. And that's what I'm excited to see.
I appreciate that.
So, my friend, much love and gratitude for you for jumping on here. I know this was completely out of your comfort zone.
Completely.
I look forward to doing this again months down the road so you can share more success stories. But just continue to be who you are. Thank you for being you, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.
Thank you, Scott. And one last thing, if you are on listening to this message and you have not hired Scott to teach you his LinkedIn strategy and you're trying to build a business, go do it. You will, I've seen a drastic change in my business, and I'm so excited about it. And that just empowers me to do more. So thank you, friend. I appreciate you.
Grateful for you. Have a great night.
The same to you. Thank you.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Good night.
Good night. So there you have it, guys. I mean, I literally have the chills right now. This empowers you. This empowers you to whole new levels. And I know that everyone has the same potential that everybody else has. So just use Elizabeth's message and just know, thank you, T. Appreciate you, brother. Just know that everything in life is possible if you want it to be possible. And when you start to think outside the box, when you start to do more than you were doing before, that's when change starts to happen. So guys, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Love you all so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.